Welcome back to Love and Murder. I'm your host Ky, along with my host Char. You know, there's an old saying, the best kept secret is between you and a dead man or woman. Tonight is the conclusion of Too Much Candy Makes You Sick, the case of Candy Montgomery, right now on Love and Murder. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Love and Murder. I am your host, Ky, along with my co-host, the illustrious Share.
Where's my drum roll? Hello, everyone.
Drum roll? You mean applause?
Both.
Why would you have a drum roll?
Why can't a girl have both?
Ugh.
My grand entrance.
See, that's the problem. Greed. Good Lord. Anyway, this is Love and Murder. We are a weekly podcast where we discuss relationships gone terribly wrong. And when I say terribly wrong, Char, how wrong do I mean?
She means dead wrong.
Dead wrong. We discuss people who have been married, people who are dating, people who are mother and daughter, brother and sister, father and son. But their relationship always seems to end in murder instead of just like a normal relationship where I'm mad at you, grr, I'm not talking to you. It always ends in murder.
You're not my Facebook friend anymore. I'm blocking you on Instagram. That's like the worst that happens with most people. No, not these people. They take it to the grave.
They take it way too far.
Yeah.
So yes. So that's Love and Murder, true crime podcast talking about relationships gone horribly wrong. You can check us out on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. The most, if y'all want to know this, you probably don't, but the most popular places people get our particular podcast, is first, Spotify. They love us over there on Spotify. And second, it's Apple Podcasts. And then it's going to be Spreaker. So if you have any one of those, you could listen to us there. You could also listen to us on TuneIn, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on social media. The links are in the bio below. Well, not the bio, but, our show notes below. And basically, we'll say our links at the end of the show, but I don't like taking up the beginning of the show by telling you all our links. So if you want to hear me say it at the end of the show, you could just tune in to the end of the show. If not, then you could just click on the links on the bottom and follow us on social media. If you want bonus episodes of the craziest true crime stories, relationship Q&A, relationship advice, or Char's crazy life stories, because her stories are crazy, believe me, then
subscribe.
Visit us on patreon.com/love and murder and become a subscriber of $3 and above. That will get you extra shows, my friend. If you've listened to our show before and you like it, then please go to Apple Podcasts, hit that purple button, and give us 5 stars. You can say whatever you want in the description. What it does, it helps bring us up in the charts. And, your friends, you, and everybody else will be able to easily find our podcast. So, with that being said, let's get into this week's episode.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited. I want to hear what it's all about.
So I'm going to do like they do on TV. Last week on Love and Murder. So last week we were talking about Candy, Dawn, Alan, and Betty. And I left y'all on a cliffhanger. So
you
just
sure
to
did.
Kind of recap. Candy married Dawn, who was a wealthy engineer. She basically married him for his money. Betty married Alan, who was a plain, dowdy-looking math teacher, her college math teacher. Candy was bored with the sex life of her marriage, and Alan was bored with his sex life as well. One day, they literally bumped into each other, and sparks flew. Not long after that, they began having an affair. All throughout the affair, the Montgomerys and the Gores, so that's the two different families, remained really good friends. The affair ended after Betty gave birth, and both Candy and Alan just began feeling guilty. Betty
No.
requested that her husband then, who was Alan, Betty requested that her husband then accompany her on a couples counseling retreat, which he did, and it actually was really good for their marriage, so it made their marriage stronger. On the way back from the retreat, they stopped at the Montgomery's house where Candy had been watching one of the Gore's daughter, and they spoke with Candy and Dawn about like just what happened at the retreat. Since they were good friends, that's what good friends do. They stop at each other's
Yeah.
houses. Yeah. So they were talking to each other about what happened at the retreat and everything like that and how much closer it brought them. And, Dawn was happy about that. Candy probably was too, but Dawn and Betty both didn't know that Candy and Alan were having an affair. So
Right.
a week after this, Candy and Alan ended the affair. Then on Friday, June 13th, because it was Friday the 13th. So on Friday, June 13th, 1980, while Alan was away on a business trip, he called his wife. He couldn't reach her. So, after a while of trying to reach her, he couldn't. He called his neighbors, asked them to try and get in the house. And that's where they found Betty's dead body lying in a pool of blood in their utility room. And that's where we left y'all last week.
That's exactly where you left us in suspense for an entire week. Don't
week.
ever do that to me again. Not that we won't sometimes have a part 2 cliffhanger, guys. It's probably going to happen again, but this was just that juicy of a story. Just a lot to tell.
Yeah.
A lot to tell. Mm-hmm.
So, and as they do on TV, and now the conclusion.
Of
all right.
Too much candy makes you sick.
Yeah. The case of Candy Montgomery.
Yes.
All right. So, like I said, we left. They found Betty dead. So, we're picking up from there. When Alan was told this, so, they're on the phone with him and they're like, oh my God, Betty's dead. So, when he found this out, the first emotion he had was shock. He was just shocked. And then, when you're shocked, you can't really grasp what's going on, what you've heard. You know what I'm saying? You're still trying to understand and process. What the hell did I just hear? But
sometimes you're immobilized. You almost can't speak or really react right. You can't really think. And it's really scary to be in that, to feel that way. So
have you ever been in that level of shock?
Yeah, I have.
Oh, I haven't.
It's scary. It's very scary. Yes.
Well, after, the shock was kind of wearing off and the news was settling into his bones, obviously your wife is dead. He started to get sad. So he needed a shoulder to cry on. Someone he could depend on to help him through this. So, Char, who do you think he called?
I was just going to say, I wonder who that would be. Who else would he call? 3 guesses and the first 3 don't count.
Yeah, he called Candy, who at that time was babysitting his other daughter. So the baby was at home with Betty and Candy was babysitting their other daughter. So he called Candy and told her what happened. She at that time, she was just, hold on, let me think. Yeah, she was just about to have sex with her husband. He didn't know what was going on. So when the phone rang, her husband got frustrated, but she immediately answered the phone.
How was she about to have sex when she was babysitting their daughter?
I guess the baby was asleep. You babysitting somebody and they're in bed.
And do you run into the other room to have sex with your husband?
You put them to bed with your other kids. The kids were in bed.
It doesn't matter. I don't think that's appropriate when you have other people's kids. You can't wait until they leave, until they go home to their own family. And, it's just weird. It's not like they're your own kids.
If somebody else's kids were at your house, you wouldn't have sex?
No, that's weird. No.
I mean,
I can wait. It's the middle of the day. It's not like they dropped them off at night.
No, it's night.
Oh, okay. That made all the difference in the world. Like, bring it on.
Yeah, it's
Like
nice.
you say, bound chicka wow wow.
I mean, I wouldn't be all loud and just running around the house and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
And I think I would do it if the rooms were like not wall to wall, but they were like
Yeah,
separated. Then yeah,
separate.
I wouldn't have a problem. But if it was like the
You have
rooms were wall to wall, nah, I ain't doing nothing.
you have a
That's
little quickie. You'd be okay with that. Okay,
that's
I
kind of
guess.
weird.
All right, we're good. We're good. It was at night, and the kids were asleep because it's time for them to go to sleep.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the little girl is a little girl. It's not like a preteen or a teenager. Like
Uh huh.
it's one of those ages where why are you wrestling with Mr. Montgomery? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's one of
Right.
those. So
Mommy, why are you screaming and crying? What's the matter?
yeah,
Oh, I'm
what
good.
happened?
Is he hurting you?
So yeah, it's one of those. But anyways, yeah. So I read a report on that, and they were just about to have sex, and so Don, not Don. Why am I calling him Don? Um, good Lord, what's his name?
Candy's husband.
Yeah, what's his name?
I thought his name was Don.
No, it's not Don.
Don's the other. Don is
No,
the
Alan
fair
is the
guy.
other guy.
Alan's it. Then it is Don.
No,
isn't
it's
it?
Pat.
Oh, Pat. Then who's Don?
Don is somebody else that comes into the story.
Oh, oops. Okay.
Have I been saying
So
Don
Pat.
this whole time?
Yes.
Good
At
Lord.
least this particular show. No, our first episode, you definitely said Pat. Let's give her credit for that, everybody. If you're listening, you said Pat the entire time.
Dude, people, listeners, fans, love and murderers. It has been a long day for me today. Forgive me. Her husband's name is Pat, not Don. Okay,
Right.
so anyways, her and Pat were about to have sex. Pat didn't know what was going on. So when the phone rang, he actually got annoyed because he's like, I know somebody's not calling at 11 o'clock at night. Like, are you serious right now?
Yeah.
So when she answered the phone, he's sitting back. He's probably like teasing her a little bit because he wants to keep in the mood. And she's on the phone like, what happened? Oh no. And then he saw her get teary eyed and he was like, oh my God, what happened? You know what I'm saying? And that's what happened. So
That's crazy to interrupt that moment of ecstasy. Oh wow, that's so sad.
yeah, that's kind of that's
It's like
kind
the
of
timing
a
couldn't.
mood
That's
killer.
really weird timing. Yeah, easy buzz kill all night long.
Yeah.
Like, okay, forget it. I'm so not in the mood now. As
So-
a matter of fact, I hardly give you none anyway. So next appointment is next spring. You missed this boat, okay? Somebody died.
Damn.
Not me. I thought that's how Candy went.
No, I mean I know I get it, but
Oh.
dang.
They're like Char went there. Okay, yeah.
So anyways, yeah, so he called Candy and he's, crying to Candy. This is what happened and she feels bad and anyways, so that's what happened over there. When police arrived at his house during their initial investigation, they realized a couple of things. Number 1, Betty had been attacked with a sharp object. Number 2, they found a bloody footprint at the scene. And number 3, they also realized that the perp had taken a shower and left bloody fingerprints throughout the house. Now, I know you're probably wondering, like, what did the scene look like? Because we're crazy, like, true crime people. We want to know what the scene looked like. So they found her in a utility room in the house. Now, that room is only like 12 feet by 6 feet. So it's not that big. It had a washer, a dryer, a freezer, a cabinet, and then it was like, so it's like basically the laundry room, but like a little tiny room they just changed into the laundry room.
Yeah.
And so, when you have a laundry room like that, you probably have a couple knickknacks like storage containers in there. So
Utility items.
Yeah. So
right. Mm-hmm.
yeah, so basically the room was already not that big and then it has all this other stuff in it. So it really wasn't that big. So, and then right in the middle of the room, and this is how they put it, in the middle of the room with thick blood, like all over the place. That's where Betty was. And she was lying face up and it just looked like the right side of her face was just gone. And her left eye was
What?
open and just staring.
So she was on the ground. I'm thinking in a storage container. When you mentioned storage containers, I was like, well, maybe she was stuffed in there. But she was just on the ground like that, just
Yeah.
falling apart. Like just her actual face was falling apart.
Yeah, she was
Oh,
just on the
goodness.
ground.
Oh, yeah, it's crazy. It's horrible.
And so as the cops looked around some more, they found an axe that was like half under the
Oh,
freezer.
no.
Yeah. And
That's
during
wow.
the autopsy, it was actually revealed that Betty had been hacked away at like 41 times with that
What?
axe. And 28 of those times were to her head, which I guess would explain why the
Oh,
right side of her
the
face
all
was
the
like that.
yeah was gone. Yeah,
Yeah.
mutilated completely. You know they say that's a crime of passion when someone stabs you an enormous amount of times, but an axe wound is even worse. It's really blunt and sharp and heavy, and there's extra force in it. I mean, it would have to be someone, Kai, that's just so angry with Betty. I can't even imagine who would be that angry with her, like a vendetta against her. You know.
Yeah.
Oh
That's
my God!
kind of
I just,
crazy.
I just, this is so baffling to
And
me.
and don't forget, they did this while the baby was in the house. Because when they came in the house, remember I said when they came in the house, the first thing they found was the baby in her crib.
Yeah,
The baby was crying. She was doing one of those cries like when a baby has been crying like crazy crying for
because
a
they're
long,
totally
long time.
neglected for a long time.
Yeah.
Wet diaper, no, snotty nose, hungry. Yeah,
She was
because
doing
who
one of
knows?
those cries. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
So they quickly got the baby and then they walked around the house some more. So
Hmm.
yeah, imagine what kind of person that had to do that while the baby was there
Yeah,
crying, and then they took a shower and left the baby there crying still. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. That would you would think it would kind of distract the murderer or disrupt the plan. I mean, it's almost, you know what that reminds me of?
Hmm.
Like if you, okay, so the burglars that break into a house, right? And they happen to have a alarm, a burglar alarm. Wouldn't you run when you hear the burglar alarm? So it's kind of like, okay, that's an alarm. This baby is loud. He or she's probably going to bring attention to me. Why would you even continue? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
A baby could like alert the neighbors. You just never know.
I guess
It's
that's like
crazy.
if that's what you're thinking about, but I guess some people are just caught up in what they're doing and they're not even thinking about that.
Caught up in the fact that I'm obliviating this poor woman with an axe. Yeah, yeah, they're caught up. I okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, my thing is after you calm down, then you're like, oh, the baby, but maybe they didn't.
No or not, because how many people would? How many times again was this person was she hit with the axe in her
41
face?
times.
Okay, how many people would hit anyone with an axe 41 times and yet have compassion for a screaming, neglected child? So it's not happening.
I mean, I don't know.
Oh,
I was going to say you
I just
never
have a
know, but
I
I
have I
guess.
have a heart right now for children. Oh, let's get the baby a bottle. Let's rock her to sleep. Come on. No, they don't care.
Well, you know
That
how
sounds
some
like
people say, like, they don't kill women and children or whatever. Maybe, I don't know. They have a soft spot for
yeah, well
children.
sometimes they do have preferences for emotional reasons or just experiences when they grew up. But this is just beyond. This is beyond.
Yeah, I agree. So,
Mhm.
anyways, they live in a small town. So,
Mhm.
of course, news just spread
Travels
through that town
fast.
like wildfire.
Yeah.
And being that it was a small town, usually, small towns don't really have a lot of crime. So everyone was just really, really scared. And they were just assuming that, like, some crazy
Like
serial
on
killer
the
had come into
loose or
town.
something.
Huh?
Hmm. On the loose. They always
Yeah,
think that in small towns there's a murder on the loose or a rapist on the loose or someone on the loose because they're not used to any action, let alone murders.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Everybody
So,
knows everybody.
yeah, so everybody's like, locking their windows, locking their
Right.
doors, not really letting their kids play outside because they don't know what's going on.
Hmm.
So, Candy, of course, with the news of everything that happened, they found the footprint, everything like that. She ended up hearing about the footprint. And she did the only rational thing that an allegedly innocent person would do. What do you think she did, Char?
She found a footprint.
Well, the police
She
found a
tried. She
footprint at the scene. What do you think she did?
Well, wait a minute. I'm confused. So the police found a footprint. What does she have to do with that? How is she involved? I don't understand why it matters what she would do.
Well,
I
remember,
mean,
I said allegedly innocent person. Somebody who was allegedly innocent, and you hear the news of, oh, they found a footprint at the scene. So if
hmm
you were innocent, what would you do? Nothing, right?
Right. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Well, after she heard about the footprint, she ran and started like cutting away at the soles of one of her favorite pair of her sandals. Yeah, she took the garden shears,
Yeah,
these
I never
garden shears,
expected you
and
to
she
say
was just
that.
cutting
Okay.
away at the soles of these favorite sandals of hers.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah, Candy, you've got some secrets.
Yeah, Candy, you got some
Yeah.
splaining to do.
Just explaining, Lucy. You got some explaining to do.
So while the initial
Oh my goodness.
investigation was going on, which was 13 days, by the way, like I said, the entire town was just like freaked out.
Out.
I
Yeah.
mean, how would you feel, Shar, if you knew this really nice teacher who has two kids, no one hated her, and just out of the blue, she was brutally hacked to death in her house with her baby in the house. And then you knew that the killer didn't just, pick up and go. They walked around, took a shower, everything like that with a screaming baby and
Probably
a
probably
dead
made
body
a
in the house.
sandwich, you know. A lot of killers stop and make a sandwich, by the way. Yeah, I just it would just be so sad because I'm picturing I have a mother or an aunt, you know, that could have been her or her age or her likeness, and just thinking, you know, it's like, oh my God, it just makes you feel so devastated inside to think that, and it's like it's close to home because it's someone that you know. So then it just makes you feel more intense about it, I think, than if it were just a stranger that you never heard of, but you still, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have compassion for people that die brutally or in any particular manner, but what is someone who's connected to you? I mean, you see your teacher every day. You know, I mean, that's crazy. I don't know. I would be baffled for
Not
sure.
only when
I'm
it's
really
someone
sad.
who's connected to you, but someone that like everybody likes. Nobody doesn't.
Yeah, no enemies, no known enemies.
Yeah.
Some people really don't have enemies.
I mean, some people are just really, really nice,
Yeah,
They'll give
really.
you their
Yeah,
shirt
I
off their
agree.
back.
Yeah, like me.
Yeah. So, as
That was such a quick
notice
yeah.
I just went over that. Yeah. Okay. So, as you can imagine, with everything going on, Candy kind of quickly became the main suspect in Betty's death. Namely, kind of after Alan reported that he'd spoken with her that day, and it seemed like she was the last one to see Betty
His
alive.
wife
So
alive.
if you remember last week, he called her and he said, "Hey, have you seen Betty?" And she was like, "Oh yeah, I just spoke to her a little while ago. She's all right."
Yeah, she
Exactly.
did.
So it was like, okay, so Candy's the last one to see her alive. So everybody started looking at Candy. But the only problem is that whenever Candy told the cops like her story or the account of the day, the story never changed.
Mention.
There was no
Mm-hmm.
like holes in it. It was a solid story, solid alibi. And so
Oh,
basically, it
really?
gave police no reason to believe that she was the killer
Okay, got it.
until
Mm. Dun dun
until
dun.
Alan admitted that he had ended an affair with Candy 7 months earlier. So you know what
Why
that
did
gave
he
her, Shar?
have to go and tell it?
You know what that gave Candy, Shar?
Well, I mean, it gave her a headache.
Well, it gave her motive, actually.
Of course it did, but why did he have to go and tell it? I mean, did you have to say that?
You don't
Are
think
you
he should
angry
have?
with me? But is he angry with me? He wants me to go under? Is that what it is? I thought you were. Don't you have any loyalty to a side lover? Do you have none?
Wow.
Is there no loyalty to a side lover? Like, seriously.
Wow.
Let me just say, especially if it's good. Obviously, it's good because remember, she saw fireworks, or that's what she wanted anyway.
That's what she
And
wanted, but I didn't say
but
she
that
saw
doesn't
it
mean
with
that
him.
doesn't mean that's what she was giving.
Yeah, she wanted that, but
They didn't. Well, you've really done a lot of research in the story. Are you sure they didn't make any mention of him of uh of him being very happy with, you know, with their love life? Being that was one thing that drew them together, is being unhappy with
he
their
he was
respective
actually
lovers.
happy with the arrangement. He was happy with the
Okay.
arrangement because even though, yeah, they had sex, they actually did spend more time talking than having sex. Like they would
Yeah,
have sex,
which
but
is
then they would talk.
stimulation.
So he
Got
was
it.
happy with
Okay.
it because he just felt like he didn't have the pressures of home on his back. It's not like he was falling in love with Candy or anything. He just was like, he didn't have the
Oh,
pressures of home on his back. He could just
right.
have
The
sex.
nagging wife and all that.
Yeah, he could just have sex, and then they laid back and then just talked about their
Got
lives
it.
and their days and their family, and then that's it. Candy,
Okay.
on the other hand, after like the second meeting, she was like, "All right, is the fireworks coming anytime soon? You know, like what's
Oh,
going on?"
wow.
And
Hmm.
so it just was never happening. But she was getting used to,
The arrangement.
yeah, and she kind of didn't want to stop, like mess up their friendship or anything like that. So
Well, it
that's
was
what happened.
convenient, and it was a release that she can look forward to at some point of the week. Not that it was okay and not that it was good. I'm not justifying. Please, for all of you people out there who really believe in commitment and loyalty in a marriage, I'm not saying that it's just okay. All I'm saying is she had a very specific list of requirements, and if she wasn't being fulfilled at home was her reasoning. Doesn't make it right. I would think that if you're going to step out and have an affair, which is wrong in the first place, at least find someone who can do you really good if that's the reason that you're having an affair. Because people have different reasons for having an affair. It may not have anything to do with sex. I mean, it falls into that. But do you see what I'm saying, Kai? It could be a number of other things. Well, as you said, they had a lot to talk about. They were both intellects, and they loved the church. And she paid attention to him when his wife was just kind of maybe took him for granted, just like Candy's husband probably took her for granted.
Yeah, but
Technically,
that's not what she was
well,
looking for though. He needed
no, she
something
was
like that,
looking
but she
for
was looking for,
sex.
brown chicken, wow, wow. That's what she
Bound chicken.
wanted.
I love when you do that. But that's my whole point. I'm saying to everyone that's listening, if you're going to make the grave mistake of doing that and put yourself out there, because see, once you do it, once you lie in that bed, like you did it, that's it. So why would you get a guy that's boring? Can't you tell from the first time that he's boring, or not boring, not boring? I'm sorry, I shouldn't put that on him. But can't you tell from the first time this is still not satisfying or the satisfaction I was looking for physically, since that's what it was about for her?
And that's the
Why
thing,
would you
she
just?
did, like I said, this by the second time she already knew that, but she kind of didn't want to hurt the guy's feelings and mess up their friendship. And
Let me just hurt my husband's feelings instead if he finds out.
I mean, again, if he finds out, but they
Mm-hmm.
figured they had taken so many precautions and nobody was going to
They
find
kind of
out.
they kind of kept it under wraps until her lover went to counseling with his wife,
Yeah,
and that really started to bring them back together. That's the idea of counseling. I
yeah.
mean, what do you do then? You don't have a rock to stand on. It's better just to leave and allow that couple to work it out.
Well,
Oh
remember
well.
that's what they ended up doing. They broke up.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm. Yeah.
so, um, anyways, so yeah, Alan told the cops that 7 months ago, Candy and I had an affair and we ended it. So the cops are like, okay, this is news that
Right.
nobody knew except y'all two.
Mhm. Right.
So, of course, Candy is now the only suspect. And she was arrested and charged with murder. And of course, she denied the charges. And
Naturally.
the shocker is, soon after she was arrested, she was actually released on bail. So they just basically let her walk. Now,
Maybe she's very cunning
now I want to point
in
out
some way.
that even though there was a lot of evidence, and I'm doing air quotes because this is all alleged, even though there was a lot of evidence that pointed to Candy's potential involvement in the case, she still received a lot of support from her church. Like, nobody, like, it was all on the news and everything like that, and people at the church were just like, they're trying to sensationalize this. I don't believe it. Candy wouldn't have done this. It has to be like some vagrant who passed through our town and did this. Like, they still supported Candy. They would send her like little cards saying, hold your head up, and all this stuff.
But wasn't the affair public too? How in the world can the church support that? Never mind the murder, but well, not never mind the murder. I'm sorry, that's a big thing. But what I'm saying is, if her business was out there and the authorities knew about the affair, which made her a suspect, it looked very suspicious. Why wouldn't the church got wind of, why wouldn't they have got wind of that? And so I wouldn't trust you if I heard about the affair. Why would I trust you? Because you have
They
motive
were
to
probably
murder.
just like, they were really weak. Um, let's give them benefit of a doubt. Especially
Okay.
if, it appears like they really like Candy. So they were just giving her the benefit of the doubt, I guess.
Some people have a lot of fans.
And there's that.
Like me. Like me.
So, yeah, so they still supported her. Like I said, they would send her little cards, try to, keep her spirit up and
Cheer
everything
up,
like
yeah.
that. Yeah. So, so much so that, like, right after her arrest, when she got out, Candy and Pat ended up hiring a lawyer who was from their church, and
Okay.
his name was Don Crowder. So they hired him to represent them, and this is their defense with the town behind them. Now, they went in saying that, well, I'm going to say this. Candy went in, and her lawyer was behind her, saying that basically she really didn't remember what happened that night. She doesn't understand, you know, basically what went on from this point of time to this point in time. So her lawyer thought it was a good idea that she go to a psychiatrist. So they went ahead and hired a psychiatrist, and they hired a doctor named Fred Faison. And this is a guy in Houston who he said like he didn't believe the news stories either. So it's like, to me, it's like they're getting a lot of people on their side who just is like, they don't believe what the news is putting out. They refuse to believe, like, even if evidence was put in front of them, they refuse to believe it for whatever reason. And I mean, that's
Yeah.
that's a good defense. I mean, you don't want to get somebody in your court who, thinks this is what happened. I don't believe you. This is what happened. So
I know, because that happens with lawyers. They know that their client's completely guilty. Yeah.
I couldn't be a lawyer. But anyway, so Dr. Fred Faison was actually both a psychiatrist and a clinical hypnotist.
I
So
was just gonna say, is that the angle they're gonna take? I knew it when you said that. It's like, yeah, they're gonna go with the hip. I started to ask you, but I was like, this is too obvious. But see, the funny thing with hypnotizing someone is if they are guilty, you can suppress and not release. Does that make sense? You can suppress. You don't have to release anything. You're suppressing it because what is it that you're going to gather from me if I was guilty? But if you're not guilty, then it comes out, because that's how good your subconscious mind can hide things. And these people that specialize in this, they know how to get that out of you. But what are you getting out of me if I already know I'm guilty? Does that make sense? There's nothing. I'm just going to hold on to the lie, and you're not going to find out.
So, I mean, I was going to ask this question as we got more into it.
Well,
You,
I've been hypnotized before. That's why I was asking.
well, that was my question. You believe in hypnosis?
No, okay. You know what? Okay, let me put it like this. It was on television, right? I got to have a video of this. But the funny thing is, out of everyone all the volunteers that were in the audience that sat on the panel to be hypnotized, they said that I was the only one who refused. But it's only because you can suppress. You see what I mean? So I just decided to suppress and not release. But everybody else relaxed and released. And it was hilarious, the things they had us doing. So, but if I were guilty of something, some very pertinent information, it's easy for me to just suppress it. You're not going to get it out of me. I wouldn't be relaxed enough in the first place to give you that information anyway. I don't want to give myself away. You see what I mean? It's crazy. It's crazy how the mind works. But that won't work on someone like her if she did do it. That's all I'm saying.
So you're saying even though you're under hypnosis, you could choose not to release the information? That's not what they show on TV.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I just told you when I did it was on television. See, like in Vegas, this is such a big thing. They have so many hypnosis shows. It's not even funny. I was good friends with one of the main, show. What do you call it? Oh my God, performers. But what I'm saying is, but on national TV, they actually complained that out of the history of the entire show, I was the only one that clearly, openly could suppress it. But it's not that hard, though. I just refuse to do some of the wacky, ridiculous things they're having people do under hypnosis. And I told you about how I feel about not having control over certain situations. So there's no way I was going to allow myself to do that. So I just suppressed it. All you have to do is think about something else. If you listen to them and you literally, like, do you know every single night when I go to bed, this is a little secret, everybody, I can share with everyone. Every single night when I go to bed, I listen to hypnosis meditation. And there's certain subjects to kind of get my life on track and to have positive energy when I wake up, to complete tasks and goals, and, to have a flow of money, whatever you need. But I know there's certain things I don't need to hear. I just block them out, even subconsciously. I can do that. The mind is anything you want it to be. But if you commit a murder, though, and you decide you're not going to share it, no one's getting that out of you. Even interrogation, hypnosis, interrogation, people take it to the grave all the time. Why do you think we have our other spinoff, right?
Deathbed confessions.
This is my whole point. You can suppress things if the mind is very strong. You just have to make that decision. But I'm sorry to say this, but sometimes a weaker personality, it's easy to hypnotize them. They can easily release whatever it is they want to bring out of you, easily, because they don't know how to suppress it. So, but I'm curious to see how she's going to get out of this.
I don't know much about hypnosis. I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much I believe in it because I don't know much about it. But at the same time,
it's psychological, though. It really is. The basis of it is psychological, and then mysticism and all that. Yeah, that's in there, but it's really the brain, like the way it works, and the way human nature is. It's a science to it, Ky. Whether we believe in it or not, it works because it does work because of the way the brain is. But again, anything in life, your brain can always make its own decision. Just like when we're not supposed to go steal the candy, or take the cookie out of the cookie jar, you can tell yourself that you're not supposed to do this and you don't do it. But there's always the majority of the kids, I just had to take the candy. I don't know why I did it. Because you were weak. You see what I mean?
I mean,
subconsciously you're weak. That's it.
I hear you. I don't know how I feel about it, like I said, but I know that I'm not going to let anybody do it on me because I don't want any power of suggestion put in my head.
Right.
I like to be fully in control, which is why I've never done drugs.
Yeah.
I don't do alcohol. I always like to know what's happening to me, and I'm always in control. So,
we kind of talked about that before, prior to the show, guys.
Yeah.
I was telling Ky how much I have to be in control, but everybody knows that everyone that knows me knows I like my adult beverages and libations, same thing. So, but I can control it. Because that's one thing about alcohol, you can control. See, alcohol is
She's lying,
science.
y'all, because she's called me while she was drunk before. Don't listen to her.
But all I do is just babble and
She
talk
babbled
too much.
her
I
ass
do that
off.
anyway. But that's all I do. It's the worst thing that happens, guys. I promise you. I just talk so much. You just want to say, shut up, Char. But think about it. It's still science because what it is every drink has a certain specific amount of time that it's released and certain things happen or don't happen. You see what I mean? So that's still control for me. I can still control that.
I hear what you're saying. I don't agree with that when it comes to alcohol, but I hear what you're saying.
Well, the people that are weak, they're the ones that are sloshing around and bumping into everything and doing crazy things and jumping off buildings. Look, the worst that I do is talk more than I already do, and that's a punishment for anyone. So there you go.
So speaking of talk more than you normally do, I know our listeners are waiting for the ending of this story, and they're probably cussing us out right now. So
okay, well, let's go for it. Let's hear it. Let's I want to see how Candy's going to get out of this one.
So anyways, yeah. So he was a psychiatrist and a clinical hypnotist, and after a few sessions with her, they decided to put her under hypnosis. And after Dr. Faison put her under hypnosis, he came back and told her lawyer that he believes Candy was suffering from a deep-rooted childhood trauma that had triggered immense rage within her as an adult.
Mm-hmm.
So What do you think about this diagnosis?
Makes perfect sense to me.
Does it? Wow.
Yeah, it does.
Sounds like a
I mean, no,
crocker to me.
no. What I'm saying is, and see, I'm pulling the card, but I'm saying you're accused. You're possible. Well, she's accused thus far of this murder, and it was very gruesome and brutal. And like I said, someone it would take someone that had like it's really a crime of passion. Passion not meaning you're in love with the person that you murdered, but passion in the sense that you're angry about something that's very close to you or someone that's connected to that person that you're very close to and something that was maybe taken away from you and you're so angry that that's how you let it out. So if the fact that you were even remotely accused tells me she must have a very, very, very strong temper that's out of control that no one knows because all she's ever shown to most everyone is I'm a very sweet, just modest and quiet and a good woman or girl at first, was raised in a good family and, a spiritual foundation and all of that and be involved in my community. Everyone loves me and they all protect me and they don't think I could have done this. But it makes perfect sense because if she didn't do it, then who did it? And if she did it, how could she do that with the personality that we know? We're looking at it like, how in the world how could anyone like her so soft and just subdued and docile, like how can you do that? But hey, listen, you know what I told you about hypnosis? If you're a weaker mindset, you're going to let it out. So she released. And when she did, they found out the truth about who was really behind this Candy. Now now we're meeting the real Candy.
I'll give my opinion after we're done.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, under the 3 sessions of his hypnosis, Dr. Faison said that Candy ended up remembering the day of the murder. And they said this session. So the doctor said this. His assistant said this because they would hear her outside of, they're sitting right outside of the room in the front of the office. And they called it like really like wrenching, like gut wrenching sessions. And during these sessions, Candy told Dawn how the murder happened. And this is a quote. Whenever her conscious story conflicted with her unconscious story, Crowder, which is Dawn, confronted her with the lie and forced her to admit the facts she would rather have forgotten. From those sessions, the best possible reconstruction of the killing of Betty Gore emerged. End quote.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And we will get into that in a second. So the trial started in October of 1980. So by the time they finished with all the sessions and everything, the doctor was like, okay, she's ready to go to trial. So that happened like in October of 1980. There were a jury of 9 women and 3 men. So a jury of her peers, which is mostly women. 9 women and 3 men. Candy came to court in a white knit sweater. Her hair was cut in a very short and what they call wispy style around her head, and she wore large frame glasses. So basically, as you can see here, the plan was to have everyone see her as just like this innocent suburban mother who would never do something so heinous, And how else would you come to court if you're not going to come to court in a biker jacket and chewing gum? You're not going to do that.
Or dressed like a streetwalker, either one extreme or the other.
So
chewing your gum like, hi, Jack, you want my number?
What's that? So do you want to know what their defense strategy was going to be?
I can't imagine.
So pleading not guilty by way of self-defense. That's what their defense strategy was. Yeah. So
that sounds like a very weak strategy because from what we know about Betty,
wait till you hear it though. Okay. They really have something to back that strategy up with. So when the trial started, Candy claimed that on the morning of her death, Betty had confronted her about the affair with Alan. According to Candy, here's the story. Candy had gone over to Betty's house to pick up a bathing suit for her daughter. She planned to take all the kids swimming that day. She said that she and Betty had been making small talk when, just like all of a sudden, Betty's gaze turned what Candy called unfocused. Betty then asked Candy out of the blue if she'd been sleeping with Alan. Candy said yes, but that the affair was over. Candy said Betty got up from the table and walked away. When Betty came back to the room, she had an axe in her hands. Betty put the axe on the table and
Wow.
told Candy she never wanted to see her again. But yeah, sure, you could take my daughter to the pool and then bring her back tomorrow morning. Candy said okay.
Okay.
When Candy was leaving, Betty stopped her and gave her some peppermints for her daughter because this is a strategy they have for her daughter. Her daughter, Alyssa, was still learning to swim. And whenever she would duck her head under the water, they would give her peppermints. Good job. Here's a peppermint. So Betty gave her a
Like
handful
a
of
kind of like
peppermints.
a puppy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Betty gave her a handful of peppermints for her daughter, helping her learn how to swim. Candy took the candy, and turned to leave. Then she turned back at the last minute and apologized. That's when, according to Candy, Betty just switched and rage became her emotion. She pushed Candy into a utility room and came at her with the axe while yelling at her to leave her husband alone. Candy and Betty struggled. Candy said Betty was between her and the door. In the struggle, Candy ended up getting a gash on the toe of her left foot. Candy said that's when she gained the upper hand after this and got the axe right out of Betty's hand. Right at that time, Betty lost her balance. Now, all of this, like getting her foot cut and the fight and everything like that, made Candy suddenly super angry and filled with rage. She brought the blade of the axe down on the back of Betty's head. Even though that hit was crazy, it was not fatal. Betty was still alive and ready to fight for her life. They struggled some more, each one in control of the axe. Candy then grabbed the handle of the axe and used her rage to kill Betty. So
Oh.
I just want to make a note that the medical examiner said that Betty was alive and possibly conscious for 40 of those axe hits.
Oh, that's horrible. She suffered. Oh my God.
Yes.
And she could have still possibly. Well, she may not have lived either
I
way.
mean,
She
come
stopped
on.
at 40.
Half her face was
I mean,
gone.
your
40
head,
hacks. Come on.
your head. I mean, you're not going to live through it. But the fact that she suffered to that point as well, like that's just.
Remember, it was
God, that's
41
just.
hits. So
I know. So I'm
40 of
saying,
them, she
oh,
was still alive.
41.
Yeah,
So that
41 hits
last
in
one took
total.
her out.
Yeah.
But that's still a lot of suffering.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
I mean, that's like. Oh, I can't even.
And
I
they
don't know.
said she
Oh my
was
gosh.
she was
Okay.
definitely alive, but
Oh, that's
possibly
terrible.
conscious. So she
Oh,
possibly felt all of that.
that's what I mean. But have you thought of this though? As many episodes as we've done of Love and Murder in all of these cases, I believe that this one has. I would say there's more wounds or knife wounds. Well, okay, it's an axe, but I wouldn't you say that? I think we only had one other there were knife wounds, and it was like Jodi Arias, and I think it was maybe 40 or maybe 38 or something. But this one seems to be the most brutal as far as wounds go. Knife or axe wounds go.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think they've heard. I don't think we've. I mean, my gosh, this takes the cake. This is like, whoa! This is the epitome of heinous and gruesome. Like, there's no mercy.
Yeah, this is the
In
worst
anger,
one.
in passion, and anger, and everything. Like, oh goodness, you would think the woman stalked her for a year. You would think that Betty stalked her, or tried to run her over with her car, or made a death threat to her because she found out about the affair a few months ago, or threatened to take her kids from her and tell her husband. You see what I'm saying? How does the fact that you confront me because you found out, how is that going to lead to, okay, I hurt my foot, but how am I that angry? What are you really angry about? Because he stayed with you and didn't get back with me? Is that what it is? But she didn't love him, Kai. So if she didn't love him and he didn't love her, it was just an arrangement of convenience with benefits type thing. Then what do you really think the rage is coming from? You think she was just letting out childhood rage that was never never resolved?
Again, remember that's what
And
the The psychiatrist said that's what she had. She had a deep seated rage that she didn't even know about, which was based on childhood trauma.
So
Which the
doesn't that
childhood
mean
trauma
that you're?
is, I can't even remember exactly what it was. It was something like
Hmm.
she lost in a race to a boy when she was like 9 or something, or 4 or something. And she was angry, and then her mom made her like swallow the anger, which
That was what she was
which
angry
is
about.
that's a normal case. We have to teach our children you can't just let your emotions get the best of you. So that wasn't even like her mom put her in a closet for 3 days and just kept rattling her in the closet. It was just like, she
Yeah.
lost the race and she was mad, and her mom said, hey, you can't be mad, swallow that. Yeah, that was it. So
Okay.
that's
Well,
why I
that's
didn't
just
even
simple
include
fun.
it, because I was like,
But
okay, yeah, okay.
but do you but don't okay. So people that are this enraged and they're insane, how can they be tried like anyone else though? I mean, she's sick. It's almost not her fault. This has been built up for so many years, and it's like you're not in your right mind anyway. Well, most of our the
Quote,
killers in our stories are not in their right mind. I mean, it's just
quote, on freaking quote, Char.
yeah.
So that's what it is. She supposedly had this deep seated rage, and apparently, when she got hurt, and it's just like a cumulation of everything. She got hurt. Uh, Betty confronted her. Betty's fighting her, and then just in this instance, it's never happened before and possibly never again, but in this instance, she just got rage from childhood when her mom told her to control her emotions. So I don't know.
It's so crazy.
Now again,
This story was absolutely beyond. I just still can't process all of this. Well, okay. Well, let's hear more because I'd really be curious about what the jury decided. Because remember, there was 9 women, and the whole town was for her, in support of her. I just trying to picture like what are they doing now? At this point, how do they feel?
so I just want to point out that this whole story I gave, even though it sounded really good and really excited, you have to remember this is Candy's story. We only have Candy's story because Betty's not there to tell
Okay,
her version of events.
that's
So
true.
just
That's
always
true.
remember that. Now, during the trial, Candy's lawyer asked her while on the stand. Okay, and in every show I got to put on my accents and everything like that. Okay.
We love it. Go for it.
Okay, so Candy's lawyer while on the stand. When you went over there, did you mean to kill her with that axe? No, Candy said. But you did kill her with the axe, didn't you? Yes. This axe right here? And he takes out the axe. Don't make me look at it. Don put the axe in front of Candy, the exact murder weapon, not, something he went to the store and got. The exact murder weapon. He put that in front of her while she was on the stand. And then she started crying and begging him not to make her look at it. But he pushed it towards her. You killed her with this axe right here, didn't you? You killed her with this axe right here, didn't you? Yes! And at this, Candy started wailing. And with that whole production, that I don't know why they allowed it in
And it
court.
was a production.
I
I
don't know
agree.
why they allowed that in court. With that whole
Hmm.
production and Candy's crying, one of the women in the jury box started wiping away her tears. So, yeah, good job.
Good
You know what they
job.
just did? They
Strong
made the
J.
jury see the housewife like in any light other than the killer. Like she was the victim, like, yeah, self defense. That's what that
Wow.
was right there. But you know what? This was the 80s. So I don't know. They wouldn't do that nowadays. Nowadays, that would have been, I think the news, citizens, everybody would have jumped on them that they let that happen in court.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah. So, I mean, good job to her defense, I guess. Dr. Dr. Faison explained that this moment, the moment that Betty cut her toe with the axe, that had been the trigger for Candy. He explained, in his expert opinion, that when she hacked away at Betty 41 times with the axe, it wasn't actually Candy who was in control anymore. It was a subconscious inner rage that had been buried since she was a child, and that's when that
Well,
came
that's
out.
what I said, but
Yeah.
now I'm starting to second guess my own thoughts here on this. I don't know. It's almost too easy. You know what I mean? Kind of
So
like,
for the court, Dawn walked Candy through the rest of her day and had her admit all the cover ups and the lies that she did while the investigation was ongoing. She admitted to all of this and said she had to do it so no one would suspect her, which also makes no sense because didn't you didn't know what was going on, remember? So what would you have said? You would have said, "Well, I did all that because I didn't remember." So
right.
the testimony ended on Friday, and the following Wednesday, the lawyers brought out their closing statements. So, closing statements are usually like, in conclusion, everybody, your honor, and everybody, and they sum up everything with some grandiose story or
Yeah.
whatever. So, anyway, they brought out their closing statement. The jury went on to talk about the verdict. Guess how long it take them to I can't speak. Guess how long it took them to come to a conclusion?
11 minutes.
I mean, you're close. 4 hours. Less than 4 hours.
You said it was close. No, I just thought it was this unfathomable amount of time, like maybe just too fast. Like, how did that happen? But 4 hours is pretty, yeah, because there are plenty of times where it goes for days.
Yeah.
Because they can't conclude,
Yeah.
So, wow.
You got 4 minutes, which it was really like, you got 11 minutes, which it was really like closer to 4 hours. So, tell me what the verdict was.
I'm gonna say not guilty only because the way this town was sticking to her like white on rice and a paper plate and a glass of milk in a snowstorm. Do you remember that from Major
Good
Payne?
Lord.
That was Major Payne, everybody. For all you Wayne
I didn't
fans
remember.
out there.
I like that movie though. But anyway, continue.
Then that's why I'm saying I believe that the verdict is not guilty.
The verdict came back not guilty.
And I have no clue, you guys. I honestly don't know the story. Ky and I, we have our meetings and we set these stories up and talk about what kind of research will happen or what we both know about it. Honestly, I really did not know. Everything was just surprising me, like from the first episode to the conclusion. I had no idea. But I know that sometimes injustice happens. And personally, I feel like, just like I said, if you are mentally challenged, I don't feel as if you should suffer in the same manner as someone who can make their own decisions. But how in the world do you just go scot-free when this woman suffered? She was tortured. It was just demonic what happened to her. It's just, you can't even imagine someone suffering like that.
It's like they didn't care about her
and for
at
what
all.
reason?
So
it's okay to confront me about an affair, and then something cuts my foot in the utility room, and that's all my reason. Like
allegedly, because it's only her story we have to go on.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, yeah, they said not guilty, and they said it was because she was acting in self-defense. So, in conclusion, no jail for Candy, and Betty's dead.
Betty's dead, and to this day, no justice, probably.
Nope. So Candy.
Well, if you have family, that's probably the only thing that can keep you alive, your memory alive, and ask for a retrial. But there was no retrial, Guy, that you know of?
Nope.
Wow.
Candy and Pat moved to Georgia, and after a while, they ended up getting a divorce. Candy changed her name back to Candace Wheeler, which was her maiden name, and she currently works as a mental health therapist for teens and adults. She should be around 61 years old right now.
That's so ironic. She's a mental health therapist.
Yep.
She's 61. She might still be working.
Yep.
Practicing.
Now, the thing about this case is a lot of people wonder why this case is so famous. And there are like 3 reasons why it could be famous. This is what I'm thinking. So, number one, it was a woman. So, this was back in the 80s, remember, before feminists descend upon me. Like, women can't be murderers. Like, are you
Exactly.
serious? So, this is back in the 80s. So, number one, it was a woman. Number two, it was a brutal murder by a woman. Number three, it was a brutal murder by a woman and done with an axe. Like you said, people don't normally use axes to kill people. So,
Right.
that was the case of Candy Montgomery and Betty Gore.
Yeah, that's
So
that's pretty lame.
let
That
us
whole ending was
know
pretty
on
lame.
our social media or in the comments below what y'all think about this case. And I did say at the end I was going to let y'all know what I thought. So let me tell you what I thought. This is just me. I'm not saying this is what happened. This is just my opinion. And I have to put that out there so nobody sues me. This is just my opinion. I I don't think Candy was jealous. I don't think she loved Alan. So I don't think it was a jealousy thing. Why
No.
why the murder happened, I can't figure that out. I don't know. Um I don't think it was self-defense personally, but then I can't figure out why she would just go over there and kill her in cold blood either. And of course we would never know. That's going to the grave or it's going to be a deathbed confession. So one of the two.
Right. One of the two.
um,
And we're here for it, just so everyone knows.
I don't. I believe the doctor tried to hypnotize her, but I forgot to mention this part. The doctor did say it was like he was surprised at how susceptible she was to the hypnosis and how fast she went under. I think she was
Hmm.
faking.
That's why I said about suppress, because that's what I did.
Yeah, I
And
think
you
she
can do
was
it.
faking.
Hmm.
And this whole thing about rage from
Her
childhood,
childhood
I call
trauma.
bullshit
Yeah.
on that.
Hmm.
And yeah, the whole courtroom theatrics and coming in there looking like a dowdy old housewife and like they I don't know what happened to the other side. Like, weren't you pointing out the affair? Like, how could she's not a dowdy housewife? She initiated the affair. This is what she wanted. You know what I'm saying?
That's an aggressive woman, and it's a sneaky, just,
That was a really sneaky
I
move.
mean,
She hurt her
yeah,
family.
right.
She had children. She had a husband. She married her husband primarily for his money. She wasn't happy in the marriage, so she looked for somebody else, and then she did pursue Alan. Even though she was having an affair with Alan, she kept on being friends with Betty like nothing was going on.
I mean, see,
That's
they're not looking
cold
at things.
blooded.
That is extremely selfish and sneaky and just callous. Like, who does this? Oh, that would be so hurtful. Because you know what they say? You know what they say? You don't mess with the homies, the homies girl. And if you're a woman, you don't have an affair with your friend, not to mention really a very close friend of the family. I would say they were friends. I'm not going to say best friends, but they were
They
very
were
close
really
friends.
close friends.
I mean, because we're exchanging each other's children and helping, doing what, probably going on picnics
They
together.
just popped up at each other's
Uh,
houses, sat there
yeah, yeah,
chilling,
yeah.
talking. They
Maybe
were really
vacations
good
together.
friends.
They were good
So for you
friends.
to be
Let's
having
just
an
call it
affair
straight.
with your good friend's husband and just be acting like life
That's
is
just
normal,
so
that's
low.
cold blooded.
It's cold. It's cold. It's low. Just there's no way you can justify that. Oh well, I didn't realize it was going to be going so long, or oh I didn't. I'm sorry I hurt you, but I thought I was just like I didn't think it would hurt you. Whatever her reason was, they should have heard all of this
That's what I'm saying. I
in
don't
court,
understand what
though.
happened to the other lawyers. Like, what was their story? What was, you know what I'm saying? Like, that was just, I don't know. I don't know.
She got. You know what? You have to admit, she definitely got
And
off
then
lucky
the
and
other
scot
question
free.
is if
Lucky.
she wasn't so pretty, you know what I'm saying? Remember,
Uh huh.
everybody said she was really pretty. Which
Yeah,
I
they
saw her
did.
picture. I
They
don't
did.
think so. But anyways, if she wasn't so pretty, would people have been, under her spell as they were? Because it's
No,
it's it's a
no.
science that, if the more good looking you are, the more people
Right.
are, apt to say you're innocent.
Trust you
Exactly.
and think you're
Just
innocent.
like that
Exactly.
guy, he
So
went
true.
to what do they call him? The sexy convict or something? Remember, he went to jail. He
Which
had those
one?
blue eyes. He had like a tattoo of a tear or something on his face, and his mugshot was just like, damn. You don't remember?
Yeah, I think I
And
do. That's why I'm laughing. It's
people
like, okay.
petitioned for him to get out of prison, and then he became a model, and then he left his wife and kid and shacked up with some rich girl and just like left his family.
Uh, yeah,
But he was good
that's
looking, so
so.
good looking. That's all they need to know.
Well, okay. So let me tell you statistically, you're never going to believe this. I don't know how much you fly, Kai, but do you know that years ago, flight attendants had to be extremely attractive or exceptionally attractive because it would lower the blood pressure and heart rate of of the passengers. Think about it. Nowadays, anybody can be hired. It doesn't
Well,
matter. You're
I
500
was about
pounds.
to
You're
say it
going
doesn't matter
bald.
how pretty you are. If the plane's going down, I'm freaking the F out. I don't care.
No, but no, I know. I agree with that, but it might make me feel a tiny bit
It
better.
won't make
You're
me
going to
feel
die with
better at
me. But
all.
you're going to die with me. You're so pretty. No, but
Is your
seriously, when
prettiness
I
going to
go
turn
to.
into a lifeboat and save me? Is it going to turn into a parachute and help me? Is it going to turn into a shield like if the plane catches fire and protect me? Your face is going to
Okay, but
melt off just like mine. Like, what the hell?
but oh God, that's so gross. But let me just say this: believe it or not, because I fly a lot, but believe it or not, as soon as I get on the plane, I check out. The flight attendants, and let me tell you this: in all honesty, those that are ugly or just exceptionally unattractive, I feel less safe and secure on that flight. I'm telling you the honest God truth. And then those that are attractive and pleasing to the eye, I feel so comfortable and secure. I just feel like there's nothing that could possibly go wrong with this aircraft because you're just so attractive. I know that, and I'm talking about male and female. So,
This is turning into a whole different podcast. All right. Well, thank you
I'm
for
a good
joining.
person, I promise.
Thank you for joining our true crime podcast of today. If you like this episode, go to Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars over there. If you love it, you can say whatever you want in the description. Visit us on Patreon and become a subscriber for crazy bonus episodes. And I mean, this is the kind of talk we could have over there. Or we could do this kind of talk on our brand new YouTube channel that is coming out soon. So go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube. You'll hear this kind of talk and you can join in because it's going to be live. So you can go to our YouTube and call in and tell me I'm wrong or tell Shar she's wrong or whatever. So go to our YouTube and follow us. Search for Love and Murder. You can see our
Yeah,
link
you can
below.
see the link on our websites.
Yeah.
And okay,
Follow us
yeah.
on social media, facebook.com/relationship crime, Instagram at Love Murder Podcast, our brand new Facebook fan group, which is not brand new anymore, but, go to our Facebook fan group where we can have discussions about this case. What do you think about this case? What do you think about Hypnosis? Do you think she should have been released? Do you think they really messed up the case in allowing them to do those three theatrics in the courtroom? Let us know. You can come to Love and Murder fan page on Facebook and let us know what you think about this case. So seriously, just go to Facebook and search Love and Murder fan page and it'll come up. Don't forget, we have merch. We have all your true crime merch. There are pillows, there are blankets, there are shower curtains, there are mugs,
Cell phone covers.
there are cell phone covers, there are masks, and t-shirts. Just go to loveandmurder.threadless.com and you can find that merch there. The easiest way to find all of these links is to go to our website, www.murderandlove.com. So it's Love and Murder backwards, murderandlove.com, and you'll see all of these links here, wherever you can find us on a podcast, our store, how to rate us. Everything is right there. Even you can listen to this episode on that website. So just go to murderandlove.com and you have everything there. An easy way for you to help us out, and it's free, and it only takes maybe 1 minute of your time, probably less, is to basically just go ahead and click share. Share on this episode and share it on your social media. Share it to your friends' text messages. Share it to WhatsApp. Just share. So you and your friend can listen to this episode. You could talk about this case, and you could talk about Shar and I's crazy discussion after the case. So whichever way, but it just takes like 30 seconds of your time to just share this episode. Now, although you heard Char and I disagreeing at the end of the episode, and I still say Char is wrong, I do want to tell you that we love each other and y'all should too. So I want to end the episode by reminding everybody who's listening to us, all love and no murder, y'all.
No murder.
Night.
Goodbye.